Hello, and welcome to Stitches and Starlight. My name is Tashiana, but you can call me Tashi because that's what all my friends do. And we're friends now. I'm coming to you from my home in Brooklyn that I share with my husband Joshua and the two hell kittens, actual cats, not humans, Minerva and Astoria. And this is my corner of the internet where we talk about all the things that I'm knitting and spinning and sewing and potentially weaving. It is just fiber joy and wool chaos all the time. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on the thumbnail. There are a million voices on the internet clamoring for your attention, and you saw whatever this is and decided to give it a go, and that makes you a rad human. If you're a returning viewer, you already know what time it is. Thanks so much for clicking on the channel. Y'all, happy 2024. We're just gonna let that sit for a minute. We made it out. There were definitely a few moments in 2023 where I was just like, this is the permanent situation and we don't get to see what's on the other side of it. And you know, the Gregorian calendar works, the days turn, the years turn, and somehow we made it to 2024. And here we are. I feel like I shared this. Oh, before we continue, we just have to stop and acknowledge that Vlogmas is over. Obviously, it's January, but I did not get to properly say thank you to the YouTube community the way that I wanted to. I did post like a thank you message on Instagram, and I tried to post it over on YouTube, and YouTube shorts are only 60 seconds long, and the message that I recorded was 90 seconds long, and I could not figure out how to condense it, and I didn't. So thank you so much for hanging out with me last month, y'all. Thank you so much for being ride or die, for showing up for, listen, whether you showed up for one video or you showed up for all of them, whether you left 0 comments or you commented on every single video, you guys warmed my heart right up last month. And December was tough. You would have seen, there were definitely some parts of the month that were tougher than others. And there were definitely some days that I struggled, and having this like rock solid community that we built together really helped me hold it down. There are people still watching those videos because they're still commenting. A lot of that stuff is evergreen. Some of it is definitely like, this is where I was right now. I might not be in that same place in a few years, so maybe. But you know, if you showed up and you rode with me and you hung out and we built this thing together and we added a little bit of starlight to the world, thank you so much for doing that for me. I definitely did not set out to make a video diary over the last month. I thought, you know, we would do the sit and spin. And when I did the first vlog style video, I was just like, this could be fun. And it was just so cool to like allow myself to be more and more authentic in my space. And I think that's the one thing, not the one thing, Vlogmas gave me a lot, but that is one of the biggest things Vlogmas brought into my life, was allowing me to feel like I had the right and the room to take up space in my space. Which is like a wild concept, because this is my space. Like, y'all come here for me, and if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. Like, I'm not forcing anyone to be here. So like, why not be the realest version of me possible in the space that is mine? But you know, we perform and we do all these other things, and Vlogmas really just allowed me to like figure out that if I stop doing that, or if I do that less, and just, you know, on the days that I don't feel like doing that, show up as an authentic and a real human, people still show up for you, which is like a novel concept. So thank you. Thank you for showing up for me. Thank you for spending your month with me. Thank you for sharing your stories with me. It was a joy. It was a real joy. It was labor, y'all. There was work involved. Probably should not have stayed up past midnight editing videos as many days as I did, but it was a real joy, and I don't like that. It was a real joy, and I'm really glad I did it. So thanks for riding with me, y'all. Thanks. So to that end, what I was saying is I'm not a new year, new me girly. I'm not let's set a million New Year's resolutions type of person, because I respect the ebb and flow of the seasons more than I honor this silly Gregorian calendar that we live on. And January is winter time, and winter is not the time to be planting seeds. That's not what we do in winter. We dig deep and we prepare for the deep freeze, and we rest and we recover. And spring is where we plant the new seeds. So I don't really, just because, you know, we go from December 31st to January 1st does not really feel like it's the time for me to be starting a million projects and investing myself in a million different directions and going, hey, I didn't do this thing at all during 2023, but come January 1st, that's gonna be the time that I start doing it. I don't really set goals anymore. We talked about this during Vlogmas. I just feel like they feel like arbitrary pressures for me. And the more I learn my own neurospicy brain, the more I realize that those things aren't beneficial for me. So there aren't going to be this is all the things I'm going to make in 2024 video. That's not going to happen. What we might do is seasonal project plans. Like I did a winter project plans video. I'm going to do a spring project plans because it's easier for me to go, here's what I think I want to accomplish in the next 3 months, than it is for me to go, there is a whole 365 days ahead of me. Let me make plans for all of those. Because if you remember, I did a very detailed, unless you're new here, then you don't know this. But if you remember, I did a very detailed 2023 project plans video, and I made absolutely 0 things on that list. And not only did I have a project plans video, I had yarn for every single project. None of the projects on that list required me to go shopping, and I still made 0 projects on that list because my brain said, no, go make the things that are giving you joy right now and that are sparking joy right now. So instead, what I thought would be fun for me, I don't know if it's gonna be fun for you, but what I thought would be fun is to share my ins and outs list. I have been seeing this pop up a lot on a bunch of different places, on Instagram, on TikTok, in some of the publications I read. And it's a list of all the things you want to invite into your year and a list of all the things that you want to let go. And that feels, well, one, it feels a lot more grounded and it feels a lot more real than a resolutions list. And 2, instead of setting these like hard and fast goals where where you're mean to yourself for not accomplishing them, I'm deciding to treat these things as friends, as companions, as things that I want to invite into my life. And if they don't show up in the way that I thought they were going to, but they show up in a different way, they've still showed up. And I'm going to show up for myself. So I thought I would share my ins and outs list with you for 2024. Again, continuing the vein of showing up and being myself and taking up space on my own space. Not all of these are making related. In fact, half of them are not making related. And I think that's okay, right? Like what if we set real benchmarks, not goals? Intentions. What if we set real intentions? So we're gonna go down the list. We're gonna talk about the things that I'm inviting and all the things that I'm just like, no more of you. You gotta go. Bye-bye. Das vidanya. Das vidanya. Okay. So the first thing I have on my list is dopamine dressing. On the in list, obviously. I feel like I should have said this. This is the in list. The first thing I have on my list is dopamine dressing. And I did a little bit of that last year. And it just running around like a jaunty little lad in my fun laced up bodices and my Arthur pants and my big pleated skirts. I'm just going to be a hobbit in real life. And I'm going to stop saving things for places. If I just dress like a hobbit to go to work and take it off and put on my scrubs, but it brought me a lot of joy for that day, then that's what we're doing. You might notice that there is a vein here, and the vein here is chasing joy. 2 on the list, in the same vein of chasing joy, is disconnecting more often. The perils of being terminally online is it is hard to break that connection. And it feels like the more online you are, the more online you have to be. And since I've decided to, I'm not going to call myself a content creator, y'all. Y'all know how I feel about that word. Since I've decided to share so much of myself and my making and who I am online, when you go ghost, people notice. And then when people notice, they check on you, which, thanks for checking on me. But then I feel bad. And I feel like I need to be present. And so I think what I'm just gonna do is just like break that chain, y'all. Break that link. It is okay for me to just be like, I don't feel like doing Instagram this week, and I'll see you guys in a week. I'll see you guys in a month. Who knows? But I'm definitely gonna make an effort to disconnect more often and to like interrupt the doom scroll. I don't know how many of you know this. If you follow me on Instagram, you would know this. But I don't know why I keep putting my hair behind my ears. I hate that. I got really, really sick after Christmas. And I was absolutely flattened for a week. I had all these high intentions of all the things that I was gonna do before New Year's. I was going to destash my yarn wall. no progress was made. I was going to put away my fabric. I had a bunch of plans for the week off that I had between Christmas and New Year's, and I spent most of it sick. I couldn't keep any food down. I was throwing up. I was barely eating solids. I was eating maybe once a day because I was terrified. It was not great. And my energy levels were awful, and I was sleeping more often than I was awake. And so the peril, not the peril, because that's a big word. The consequence, that's a better word. The consequence of being as ill as I was not online. I wasn't scrolling, and I wasn't getting constantly fed media. And even though I felt like absolute garbage, my head when I was awake was clearer than it had ever been. And I was just like, there's something to be said for social media breaks. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be taking social media breaks. If we're just gonna be like, let's delete the app off my phone for a week or two, see how that feels. Because I also want to interrupt the pathways in my brain that are constantly being fed by, content and media. And yes, it is very nice to see what people are up to, but then that also triggers the imposter syndrome and triggers everything else. And we need time. We need time, and we need space, and we just need a minute every now and then to go, not right now. The third, that's not two. That's not three, that's two. The third thing on my list is to make more time for reading and writing. Because I'm constantly online and I am trying to keep up with all the people that I see online. And that is my own energy. That's not anybody else telling me what I have to do. That's me telling myself, which is why I need to disconnect. I feel like my reading practice and my writing practice have completely fallen to the wayside, And I really want to prioritize that next year. I've done more reading in the last 2 weeks than I've done in months. And I was the reader. I was the girl who didn't watch TV and didn't watch movies because she was reading. I was the girl who used to stay up late at night and get in trouble when I was supposed to be sleeping because I was reading under the covers. I want to go back to that. We have so many books in our apartment because Joshua and I are both huge readers. And actually, I don't think he's reading much either. Maybe I'll try to get him to read more with me. But I really want to make time for reading and writing and for prioritizing that sort of creation, but also that sort of rest and meditation in my space. And inviting my brain to just kind of pull back and turn off and not constantly be overstimulated. In the same vein, I really want to prioritize rest and recovery. My sleep has been garbage. It's been so bad. I'm in this really weird biphasic sleep stage right now where I sleep from 9 to 1 and I don't sleep from 1 to 4. And then I sleep from 4 to whatever time I got to get up for work. It's awful. And when I wake up at 1 o'clock, I don't wake up groggy, and I wake up wide awake, ready to go do something crazy. So then I can't go back to sleep. And I really want to try to figure out, one, how to listen to my body and figure out what it takes to get me to sleep through the night again. And two, if I'm not sleeping, what can I do in the middle of the night that's not scrolling through TikTok and Instagram for 3 hours and just being mad about not sleeping. So I really want to prioritize my own rest and recovery because I am not as useful. That is a capitalist term and we don't like it. I don't feel myself, and I don't feel like I have as much to give myself and then to give to the world, obviously, when I'm sleep deprived. And my job is important and it can be perilous. And so I need better sleep. I need to be sleeping better. I've already talked about making space for everyday joy multiple times, but that is on the list. Making space for everyday joy. The other thing is accepting compliments with grace. I'm not very good at accepting compliments. People tell me nice things about myself, and I one, try to figure out where they went wrong and what they see that I don't see. And then two, I get really flustered. And so I really just want to practice saying thank you and meaning it. Or saying thank you and not explaining myself. Thank you is a complete sentence. I don't need to say thank you and then explain all the ways I did not succeed at this thing, so why your compliments are unwarranted. Thank you is a complete sentence. And I just need to practice that. Practice saying thank you and practice meaning it. I do cool stuff and I am sometimes a cool person. And sometimes people want to acknowledge my coolness. And it's okay to just be thanks for seeing that I'm a cool person and for recognizing it. And to that end, I also want to continue to give compliments. Words of affirmation. Did you see my brain restart for a second? Words of affirmation is my love language. So I'm very good at complimenting people, but I want to continue. I'm going to be effusive. I want to be effusive with my praise to the point that it starts making people uncomfortable, because we need to be nicer to people, and people need to be told nice things about themselves. And so I'm going to continue to be that person who just yells at everybody about how amazing they are, because I don't know if they're going to hear it from anybody else. So they might as well hear it from me. Okay, so now we're going to get down to like sort of the crafting situation on my ends list. We're working from stash. We're working from stash. I'm not saying that we're doing a no buy, because again, those type of like hard stops don't work for me, don't work for my head, make me really uncomfortable. But we really want to work from stash this year. It gotta go, guys. It gotta go. And this is all that you can see. I have a 5x5, those like IKEA Calyx containers, a 5x5 container full of fiber and sewing fabric that I'm staring at right now. By the way, the fabric that I washed during December is still in the laundry bag, has not been put away. Do not at me. Don't do it. And then there's so much fleece, it's literally everywhere. It is just tucked in corners. It's not tucked in corners. It's everywhere. I really need to find that balance between having a living, breathing collection, but also not feeling like I live in my craft room. And last year, not even last year, it was mostly 2022, but definitely last year, there were a lot of acquisitions, and we have hopped over the having a living, breathing stash into full-on living in my craft room situation, and that is not the vibe. That's not the vibe. So we gotta use some of this stuff up. It has to get used, and if it's not getting used, it has to go. It just has to go. I have the dragon hoarding tendency is strong, and I need to just go, what if we don't do that right now? If I've had this in my stash forever and I don't have the luxury of having the space to just have it tucked into a room somewhere, it has to go, and it should just go to someone that can use it. But we are working from stash this year. I have so much, and I had such big plans for all the stuff when I acquired it. Some of it was just, I feel bad and I'm just gonna buy stuff to see if it makes me feel better. A lot of it, I had really big plans for it when I acquired it, and the plans, we got to start making those plans into action. So we are working from stash. We are sewing with intention. So much of my sewing is just like, got to get to this finished object, got to get to this finished object, got to get to this finished object. And I want to start slowing down a little bit and sewing with intention. Stop cutting corners, because I am the laziest. Woo. People go, your stuff looks so nice. And I'm like, don't look at the insides of my things. I am the laziest when it comes to like finishing. I cut corners, I skip steps, I combine steps, and I really just want to kind of like practice slowing down, because I want to start making more complex things. And when you start making more complex things, those skipping and dancing around those steps becomes less negotiable. And I really want to have a good, solid foundation for when I move on to making more complex garments. I want to start making like fantasy stuff. And so I really got to like get my fundamentals down, and I know what I'm doing. I'm just lazy and I'm just rushing all the time. So I really want to practice slowing down and sewing with intention. I want to add more volume to my life. My favorite pair of pants, I say this all the time, my Arthur pants are ride or die. I love big voluminous silhouettes. And for a really long time, you know, people always tell larger bodied people, and they tell fat people like no volume, right? You want to do all the things that make yourself look small. So if you have big volume up here, you're making yourself look larger. Big volume down there, you're making yourself look larger. And to that, I'm just going to say, go somewhere. Go with grace, go with God, get out of my space. I want to be an amorphous blob. I want to be wrapped in a cocoon of fabric. I just want to be an ethereal bubble of sunshine. So we're adding volume. We're just gonna wear a bunch of nonsense volume. And we'll see. We might try it, and then I might just go, oof, that makes me feel bad. And when it makes me feel bad, I want to really stop and interrogate and challenge those feelings and try to figure out why it makes me feel bad. Does it make me feel bad because I don't like it? Or does it make me feel bad because I've been programmed to not like it? And if I've been programmed to not like it, how do we work on deprogramming that stuff? We're unpacking. We're slowly unpacking. And the last thing I have on my list is just rebellious and riotous cast-ons. Who cares if things get finished? I am no longer worrying about finishing projects before I start them. No longer. It is no longer on my list of things that's important. And I'm not gonna like make myself feel bad about the bag of whips, because also, do you remember the whip audit we did last year? They're all in the exact same place. I have not touched any of them. I've made zero progress on any of them. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. I have realized that my making is more focused on the beginning of the journey and less focused on the end of the journey, and that's okay. So if I just keep beginning journeys and I'm not hurting anybody, that's okay. It would be nice if like all my knit projects did turn into finished objects that I could love and honor and treasure. But also, if it makes me feel bad forcing myself to get all my knit projects to things that I can love and honor and treasure, then I'm not going to do it. And if I just want to start 5 sweaters in a week, I'm going to let myself start 5 sweaters in a week. Someone out there is just going to go, Tazhi, that is a ridiculous thing to say. And that's okay, right? We're all on our own journeys and we're all doing our own things. So those are the things that I want to invite into my life in 2024. Let's talk about the things that I'm going to say less of. Number 1, content creation for the sake of content creation. I am just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. If that means that there are no YouTube videos up for a little bit, there are no YouTube videos up for a little bit. If it means that my Instagram feed is dead for a little bit, it's dead for a little bit. I'm prioritizing joy and prioritizing the things that make me feel inspired. And if I'm not inspired by it, I think it shows. And so I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And it kind of is what it is. I just really want to distill down to what's important to me. And being relevant is not important. It's not important, and I'm not gonna allow the rabbit race of the intranet to force me to think things are important when they're just not. And I'm not a weekly maker. I'm not the type of person who has I don't have the luxury, for the record, I don't have the luxury of sitting here and recording weekly. My job doesn't let me. I can't really film during the week. I can't edit during the week. I have a very intense position, and by the time I get home, I'm like a zombie, and sometimes I spin and sometimes I knit, and most of the time I just go to bed. I also want to live a really robust social life with the time that I do have, and so I just don't want to spend it hooked to making so that I can share that I'm making so that people can go, oh, Tazhi, you're so cool. So no more content creation for the sake of content creation. Number 2, no more worrying about being too much. I understand that I'm not for everybody. That's okay. The people that I'm for will find me, and hopefully the people that I'm not for will go quietly and not tell me that I'm not for them. Please don't do that. Don't do that to anybody. It feels bad. Don't do that to people. But I'm just going to stop worrying about being too much. In the same vein, I'm going to hopefully, and I'm going to try really, really hard. I almost didn't share this on my list because it's hard, but I'm going to try really hard to stop performing, stop masking, and stop code switching online, or at least do it less. Yeah, just kind of do it less. The code switching is hard because, respectability politics and all that other stuff, but also the performing and the masking, so much of that behavior is inherent and it's practiced. And I don't even realize I'm doing it most of the time because I'm so busy to being Tashiana, light of the party, that I don't always allow myself space and room to be my authentic and most real self. And sometimes my authentic and most real self is a sad girl. I'm just gonna let myself be a sad girl. That's okay. So I really want to stop, or at least minimize or decrease, or any of these words, the amount of time I spend performing and masking and code switching. I just want to be as much of my most real and authentic self as I can possibly be. And again, to the same end, the people that I'm for will find me, and the people that I'm not for will go find the people that they're for. And that's okay. I don't have to be for everybody. And I want to stop trying because it is exhausting. Number four, we're going to stop doing unnecessary labor in a number of places. I am a giver. I've always been a giver. I am also, as much as I tell people I'm not, I'm also a teacher. And when I'm not a gatekeeper. When I hold knowledge, if people want that knowledge, I like sharing it. So people I constantly get asked questions. And sometimes I've answered questions before, but I will continue answering questions because I don't want to be a gatekeeper. I don't want to be the barrier between someone finding something they love or discovering something they love. But that giving has now turned into me overextending myself. And so I'm going to hopefully stop doing unnecessary labor. If a question has been asked and answered, I'm just going to start pointing people in the places of a question that has been asked and answered. I'm also going to start encouraging people to Google. Like, I think something has happened where we've just started being spoon-fed information, and so we expect to be spoon-fed information all the time, and we expect everyone to do the spoon feeding. And I can't do it anymore. So if like something is widely available and it would just take someone 5 seconds to find it, and instead they choose to ask me, I'm just gonna send them in the direction of the things that are widely available. I cannot continue to do unnecessary labor when if someone else spent 5 seconds doing homework, they would find access to the information that I am talking about or something that I've already shared. It is making me brittle. It is exhausting me. And it's also making me less likely to engage. And when I'm starting to realize that there are things that are decreasing the amount of joy that I have in this space. And since I want this space to be joy-filled, I just got to start snipping those things out. So we are going to do less and less labor. When I have the spoons, which is the next point on my list, which is saying yes to things when the spoons just aren't there in a number of ways. When I have the spoons, I am happy to, engage and answer questions and do all that other stuff. But the stranger sliding into my DMs that I've never interacted with, that I've never spoken to, that I don't have any sort of relationship with, who want me to explain everything that I'm doing, I can't do it anymore. I can't, and that's okay. I just can't. But the saying yes to things when the spoons aren't there is not just in this sphere, it's all of the things. I like to see my friends, and I've definitely said yes to social engagements. I've said yes to a number of things when I didn't have the resources and I paid for it later. I've said yes to a filming schedule that I didn't have the resources for and then I paid for it later. I said yes to a lot of things that I knew that the spoons were not there, but because I was so interested in being a giver and being present, and sometimes in FOMO, let's call it what it is, the fear of missing out will get you. There have been some times that I was so invested in all of those things that I was overextending myself to the point that was just I was not there. And then when the rebound, the backlash, when all that stuff catches up to you, it is awful. And then you're really laid low and you can't do anything. So I'm just gonna really follow my intuition. And if the spoons are not there, I'm gonna say no to things. I am not a person that knows how to say no to things. So we are just gonna be, again, doing our best to listen to my intuition and honor that voice in the back of my head that's just going, not today, Tazhi, not today. In terms of the things that are on my making list that are going to be working their way out, one is saving my hand knits for special days, because honestly, every day that we open our eyes on God's green earth is a special day. And I'm going to stop saving my hand knits for conventions and Rhinebeck and when I'm going to be outside to be seen, because that's what I've been doing for a little bit, was saving my knits until I knew someone was going to see me, so I could just be like, hey, thanks, I made it. I'm just going to wear my stuff. I spent hours on this thing and the money to make it and everything else. Why should I just not wear it? I loved it enough to make it and block it and share all the fun finished object pictures. Why am I just not wearing my stuff? All my knits are in a drawer and I never open the drawer. I have worn my coffee house cardigan more than I've worn any other hand knit, which makes me realize that one, I need more cardigans in my life. And two, once I take things out that drawer and I can see it, I actually wear it. So I'm going to try to make my knits more visible, and I'm just going to put them on. They're sweaters, they're clothes, they're not precious. And I really want to stop treating them like they're precious, because when I treat them like they're precious, then they get put in a treasure chest and I never see them. And really the last thing on my list is impulse purchasing and overconsumption, which has led to this. I really want to interrogate my own spending, why I do the things I do, if I can interrupt the pathways that lead me to doing the things I do. And also I really just need to tell myself, no, I just need to go. You don't need that. It is okay. I know this person's releasing this really fun limited edition, dye situation. And I know you really want it, but you don't need it. And you'll be better off if you say no. So I really just want to limit my overspending, my impulse purchasing, and my overconsumption. It means that there might not be acquisitions on this channel for a little bit. And that's okay. I don't even know what this channel is going to be this year. I'm following the ebb and the flow of my interests, and we're gonna do whatever makes me happy this week. So I have no idea what we're doing. But if it means that there aren't, a lot of acquisitions, that's okay. If it means that I'm not going to be introducing you to things that I am like discovering, that's okay. I want to rediscover this. I want to shop this. There's a bunch of delightful stuff behind me that I don't even remember what's there. One of my projects for over the break was to add a bunch of yarn to my Ravelry stash. I did not add any yarn to my Ravelry stash last year. You've seen how much yarn I've had, unless you're new here. Then you have, if you're new here, you have no idea what I'm talking about. And hi, welcome. But if you've been around, you've seen how much yarn I've amassed in the last year. None of that has been added to my stash. And then sometimes I want to make projects and I know I have a sweater quantity of DK weight yarn, but I don't know what color it is and I don't remember what brand it is. And then I buy more DK weight yarn and then I come home and I find the sweater quantity. It's nonsense. And I really need to stop and reorganize this, log it all, make sure everything behind me is logged somewhere. I've been using Ravelry because that's just what I use most of the time, but I really want to move my whole stash to Airtable, which, if you didn't watch my Airtable stash video during Vlogmas, there is a whole video about how I use Airtable to organize my fiber and my fabric stash. And I need to move my yarn stash over to Airtable so that's all in the same place. But we really I just want to know, nope, not just yarn and fiber. No, I have so much ink and so many fountain pens so fast. No more, none of that stuff. No more like I can't sleep in the middle of the night, so I'm just gonna start buying stuff. No more. We gotta do that. We gotta say goodbye. I think I said that was the last thing on my list, but I lied. The last thing on my list is unrealistic routines and habit tracking. And I know some people really thrive and they benefit from habit tracking, but it doesn't work for me. And like setting an unrealistic routine for me is skincare. Like skincare routines are unrealistic for me. And when I get in bed and I don't do my skincare routine, then I like lay there and I feel bad about it for a half hour, but I also don't get up and do the skincare routine. I just lay there and feel bad about it. And so all those things, all these unrealistic routines for me, the pressures to like, oh, I need to have 8 glasses of water every day and I need to track all my water, like all that stuff, it's bad for me. So we're gonna let it on out. We're gonna let it on out. We're gonna let all those things that are not great for me out, and we're gonna invite all those things that really foster an environment of joy and peace and light and things that help me feel grounded in who I am and where I am right now. That's what we're inviting into our space in 2024. Yeah, so that's where we are. I do have a little bit of an announcement. Housekeeping, I'm not sure what's the word, but I do have something to share because I know there are some people who don't follow me on Instagram. And I also only posted it in my stories because I was terrified of it. But in the same vein of like really restarting my reading and my writing practice, I did finally start my Substack. I've been thinking about starting a Substack for a really long time. I've been talking to my friends about starting a Substack for a really long time. I'm finally starting the Substack. And if you're not familiar with Substack, it is very much like a hearkening to like live journal blogging days. That's obviously a lot more polished, but it very much feels a lot like that. It is a newsletter. So if you sign up for it, when I write things, you can get them right into your email. There's also an app, so you can read things in the app. But I've been reading a few Substacks for the last like 6 or so months. I follow a lot of the like popular ones, but I also follow a few that are just not so popular. My friend Jackie at Woolen Oaks was the one who put Substack on my radar. She started hers about a year ago, and she has been like reliably writing for a year and sharing things. And I will say, here's what my Substack is not, so you know what you're getting yourself into. It is not just another making journal. It will have the stuff that I'm making, and it will have, I think the luxury of Substack is because it's a platform for writers and for readers. It gives me a little bit more space to share the why and the how of what I'm doing while I'm doing things. Maybe some more like step-by-step situations. Who knows? But it is not just going to be a highlight reel of all the things that I'm making. My Substack is me. It's going to be the things that are on my heart right now, the things that I'm thinking, the things that I feel like sharing, and the things that I feel like writing. Since committing to starting the Substack, I've already written 3, can we call them essays? I don't know what we call them. I already have 3 written things ready to go. I've shared the first one, which is a hello and welcome piece. That is already up there. I I'm going to try to, I don't know why I keep talking. I need to stop doing that. I'm going to try to share a bit of writing at least every other week. Because again, unrealistic routines and schedules, and I don't want to burn out by going, I must share something every week. And then when I don't share something every week, I feel bad. I'm going to try to share something every other week, but my posts are going to be going out on Mondays. And I wrote a really, well, I think I wrote a really beautiful piece on why I work with raw wool. And I can't wait to share it because it's been finished for a week and I've just been like sitting on pressing send. But I'm going to put the link to my Substack in the description box if you're interested in subscribing. It's just going to be a way to have more dialogue with me, with who I am and with who I'm becoming and with who I want to be. I'm going to be including things like a currently list. There's going to be a lot about what I'm reading. So there'll be like, you know, a monthly book update. I'm also going to be pulling an oracle card every month and sharing what that oracle card is and maybe sharing some journaling prompts based on what that oracle card is and what it says to me and what I think it has, you know, what it could say to other people. We're going to be doing a little bit of like currently list. So here's what my life looks like right now. It's again, less going to be a maker's journal and more just going to be, hi, my name's Tazhi, and here's what I feel like sharing this week. So if that's your vibe, if you like reading, a lot of people who watched my winter solstice video, which guys, thank you so much for watching that video. I was terrified to share it because it is very different from anything I've ever shared before. And sometimes when you show up for the universe shows up for you. So thanks so much for watching that video, for all the kind comments. But I had a lot of people go, oh my God, you should be writing more often and you should really be sharing that. And so Substack is the response. I shared that video, you know, biting my nails, crossing my fingers, hoping for the best, and Substack came out of that. So if you want, you know, more of that, if you enjoyed that and you want more of that, and you just want more of my meanders, that's going to be there. Make sure to put the link in the description box. You can sign up. Literally, you will only get an email when I post something. So I promise not to be spamming you. And it's called a newsletter, but it's not going to be like sales and blah, blah. It's literally just going to be like, here's what's on my heart and here's what I want to share. So if that's, you know, if that's your speed, Substack's going to be there. I think that's it. I really just kind of wanted to sit down and have a little bit of a conversation and set some intentions for the year. So if the way you interact with me and the way I interact with you guys seems a little bit different, that's why. And if you made it all the way to this end, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for making space for me and for my joy and for my making in your own life. I am not so myopic that I don't realize how much of a gift and a treasure this is. And I am grateful every single day. So, you know, if you've made it all the way here for the last, God knows how long of me just talking a bunch of nonsense, thanks for being my people. Thanks for showing up for me and allowing me to show up as authentically as I possibly can in this space. I am really, as much as I'm like, no New Year's resolutions, blah, blah, I'm actually really looking forward to what this season holds, and all the ways we get to be better versions of ourselves and all the ways that we get to dig deep and plant things and harvest things. And if the year ends and all you did was, I hate when people say that all you did was survive, because surviving is such a big thing, especially right now. Surviving is a big thing. So if you make an ins and outs list and if you make New Year's resolutions and you make goals and you get to the end of the year and nothing is accomplished, you got to the end of the year. And honestly, I think that's worth celebrating. So we'll see what happens. I do think I want to do monthly check-ins. Maybe that'll be something I do on Substack, monthly check-ins with my ins and outs list. And if all this goes out the window, I tried. And that's all we're doing this year. We are trying. All right. I love you. Go make something fun today.